Hey guys, it's Matt here, and today we're doing a special edition of What's in a Cart. So why is it special? What makes it special? If you're new to the channel, you might not know. If you have been watching the channel this week though, and you are a subscriber, you may have seen that we're doing a lot of videos about Street Fighter 2's 30th Anniversary Edition by iam8bit. So we've had day 0 all the way to today, which is sadly the final day of our releases, day 5, where we're doing a special edition, like I mentioned earlier, of What's in a Cart. So what makes this special? Well, what makes it special is that we're actually opening up 4, yes that's right, 4 carts today. So what 4 carts are we opening up? Well, we're opening up the original Street Fighter 2 cart. Then we're opening up the Super Famicom version of Street Fighter 2. But then, you might be thinking, oh, so then they're opening up the Street Fighter 2's 30th Anniversary Edition by iam8bit. Yes, but also something else. What's the 4th cart? What's the mystery cart? We're actually opening up a Street Fighter 2 Repro, because we're going to check out how all 4 of these carts look while stacked up against each other, because frankly, I kind of want to know what's inside the 30th Anniversary Edition. And I also want to see what's inside the Repro, because that might also be interesting as well. We've seen some Repros on the show before, we've seen some real carts on the show before. I want to see how all 4 stack up against each other. You guys saw Versus yesterday, where I showed how all 4 looked via the Super Nintendo and the Elgato, which if you're wondering how to record Super Nintendo footage via your Elgato, well, I've actually shown you how to do that on this channel as well in an episode of TG Tutorials, which you actually check out either in the description box below or posted at the end of this video. So you already saw how all 4 of them looked while played simultaneously, but now let's check out how they look when you open them all up.
And here they are. Now you might not know which one is which, let's do a rundown of each and every cart right now. The one on the upper left-hand corner is the original Super Nintendo cartridge, and we move down to the lower left-hand corner. That is the Super Famicom edition. You can kind of tell because there's Japanese on the label. Now, the one on the upper right-hand side is actually the Repro, and then the one on the lower right-hand side is actually the 30th Anniversary Edition. You can tell because the cartridge is red. Today we'll be opening these up with my 3.8mm screwdriver, which is actually put into a larger screwdriver just to kind of get some more traction as we're trying to open these carts up. Thankfully, all 4 of these carts do have the same screws, which are the same screw size as an original Super Nintendo / Super Famicom game. Yes, even the Repro has it, so that is something that you do kind of have to be wary of when looking for retro games online. Even the version by iam8bit has them as well. Now before we open these carts up, let's look at the labels. Now obviously the Super Famicom version is way different than the rest, but there are certain key differences between all of the North American labels, even the Repro, that you should be wary of. So the first thing you might notice when I pick up this cartridge is that the tabs in the middle of the cartridge itself, not the label but the cartridge itself, are different than some of the other ones that are on this table, specifically ones that were released later on during the SNES's life cycle. Also, you can see that it says Capcom USA on the upper right hand corner, something that is missing from the Repro version. Now the label might seem a little bit dark, but I can assure you, compared to some of these other labels that we're going to see a little bit later, this label is actually the best. Now picking up the Repro cart, the first thing you notice is that the label is kind of cheap, especially when compared to the original North American one. Also something that you'll notice right off the bat is that the Capcom logo is not where it should be. And then you'll notice on the top something you may not have noticed on the North American version, but the font for Street Fighter 2 is completely wrong. I mean, looking at the top of the label there for Street Fighter 2 with the North American version, you can see how they tried to replicate that for the 30th Anniversary Edition, and it came out okay. So when we compare the 2 logos for the official games, yes, you can see that Street Fighter 2's logo is more prominent for the 30th Anniversary Edition, but also the image itself seems much darker. So frankly, I admit that the box itself, I think, looks a lot better than this specific label. The logos on the side, I have no problem with the changes in those, but definitely the image quality does seem to be a little bit lacking, or at the very least, a bit darker than I think it should be. Now let's open up all 4 of these and let's see what we get. So first let's take a look at the original cartridge, and we can see that it is real. Now I have to admit, was a little bit nervous before filming this video. Didn't know if I was looking at 2 repros, but it is actually the original cartridge. You can tell from the different chips that it says Nintendo on it and all those official stuff that we've seen before on different episodes of What's in a Cart. So we can confirm that the one on the upper left hand side is actually real. Now, when looking at the Super Famicom version, there seems to be a lot more going on in this version than the actual version that came out in the US. The strange thing, though, is I imagine it might be due to text-based things and constraints and stuff like that. I'm not too sure myself, but I have to, when playing the games, you guys saw in the Versus, hopefully you did see the Versus episode yesterday, they didn't look the same, they didn't play any differently, so I have no reason, I don't really understand why this version is a lot bigger and there's a lot more going on with it, but it is, and obviously as you can tell, it was the same exact game. Now let's take a look at the Repro one, and man, this thing is sketchy. Like, this thing is so sketchy. It's like Take On Me, like the music video. That is how sketchy this thing is. I mean, oh wow. It says it's just written on there. Like, hey guys, we're making all these in the factory. This is the Street Fighter 2 one. Wow. That, I mean, it worked, but yeah, wow. And now for the one that I imagine all of you were waiting for, the 30th Anniversary Edition. So we turn this baby around and we can see that it actually says Infinite NES Lives, or NES Lives. So that's really cool because that's actually a distributor that creates brand new boards. So it seems as if I Am 8-Bit actually went to them to actually create these boards. So it's great to know that these aren't just some repro boards from China like the one above. I believe you can purchase boards from them for any kind of homebrew projects you want to do. However, I have not done that myself, and I am receiving no kickbacks by even mentioning them. Again, it's literally on the board itself. So look at that. These games are real, except for that one.
Well, that was odd. Literally, all of that was just odd. It was fun. It was interesting. It was educational, I guess. It was edutainment, perhaps. But it was odd. I mean, just how the repro cart looked for one. Also, how the board looked for the Super Famicom version compared to the Super Nintendo version. Overall, this was a very interesting episode of What's in a Cart. And if you guys want me to do stuff like this more often, matching up US carts with Japanese carts, instead of just looking at them individually, then please comment below, talk to me about it. I'd love to do this in the future. And if you like the video, and if you like this 5-day event that we've done, please remember to like and subscribe. And if you didn't like any of it, and you hated it, and you never want to see it again, well, not only comment below all of your hate, all of your anger, also like and subscribe, perhaps? It's the best way for us to know that you don't like something. Alright guys, anyway, thank you all so much for watching the episode of What's in a Cart, and tune in next time for another episode of What's in a Cart. So, see ya!